Yeah, yeah. We are definitely done with that shit. Oh yeah, and J.K. Rowling was tweeting, I think, our guest today, Nick Minnock. Oh yeah. Good morning. Great to have you with us on Vince on a Tuesday. As always, the best audience anywhere. This program is brought to you by Blackout Coffee, the official coffee of all of us here at Silverlock. Go to blackoutcoffee.com/Vince. Use the code Vince. That's VINCE, and you'll get 20% off your first order. Holy cow, we've got a huge show for you today. So let me begin here. We've got the Secretary of War addressing our country's generals and admirals, all the senior leadership, all in one spot this morning. The left was freaking out like he was going to force everybody to do Nazi salutes or something. It turns out Pete Hegseth had a simple message. We're done with that shit. He told the generals, the admirals, it's time for excellence again in the United States military. I've got some of the highlights just breaking as we're starting the program today. I can't love this more, and I think you're going to adore it too. It's going to be great. Also today, we're on shutdown countdown. We're watching whether or not the Democrats are going to try and put everybody out of work. Speaking of the troops, are the Democrats going to cut off their paychecks right now just because they want illegal aliens to get more of your tax dollars? We'll explore the latest on that subject. And then we'll be joined today by a very special guest. This is a reporter from a place called WJLA, a Washington, D.C. area station. He's a phenomenal reporter. His name is Nick Minnock, and he is the guy who's been breaking the scandal of a sex criminal who keeps going into all of the women's locker rooms in the area around Washington, D.C. and Northern Virginia. And then the Democrats, they keep letting him do it. The guy's a sex criminal. And I'm going to break down what the hell's even going on here and how this affects the whole country. It's all ahead on this edition of Vince. Great to have you with us. And we've got a lot of choices out there for cell phone service. It's true. New ones pop up all the time. But here's the truth for you. There's only one that boldly stands in the gap for every American that believes that freedom is worth fighting for, and that's Patriot Mobile. The good news is you can switch to Patriot Mobile today without sacrificing any quality or service. Are you worried about coverage? Don't be. Patriot Mobile uses all three major U.S. networks. If you have service in this country today, you're going to have as good or better coverage with Patriot Mobile. Do you think switching is a hassle? It's definitely not. You can keep your number. You can keep your phone. You can even upgrade. Patriot Mobile's 100% U.S.-based team will get you activated in just minutes, all from the comfort of your own home. Stuck in a contract? Owe money on your phones? Don't worry at all. Patriot Mobile has a contract buyout program. This is how you win. You align your spending with your values, and you get a great service. Truly, Patriot Mobile has been wonderful for me. You're going to love it. Every dollar that you spend matters. Go to patriotmobile.com/Vince or call 972-PATRIOT. Use the promo code Vince. Get a free month of service. Switch today. That's patriotmobile.com/Vince or call 972-PATRIOT. Yeah, the chat. It's a great time to be a perv in the Dem states, says Ron. Yeah, you're right about that, Ron. It is. Those Dems, they love their pervs, don't they? We'll break that all down coming up with the great Nick Minnock. But I want to start today with something else that's happening in the Commonwealth of Virginia. This is taking place this morning at the Quantico Marine Corps base, not too far from the nation's capital. And that's where the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, has assembled our nation's generals and admirals all into one auditorium to address them. The media have been going absolutely crazy about this. Why is he doing this? What is this about? This is unprecedented. And they're pretending, of course, or at least they're heavily suggesting to their delusional audiences that there's something dangerous and authoritarian about this, when, of course, it's anything but. The point of this meeting, as has been clear since the moment that they announced it, is to pursue excellence in the American military. And I've got some amazing selections from the Secretary of War. So much of his speech was amazing this morning. I want to begin with this one, though, where he says, "We are done with the shit that hurt our military. We're getting back to fighting shape." Listen to this.
This administration has done a great deal from day one to remove the social justice, politically correct, and toxic ideological garbage that had infected our department, to rip out the politics. No more identity months, DEI offices, dudes in dresses. No more climate change worship. No more division, distraction, or gender delusions. No more debris. As I've said before, and will say again, we are done with that. This administration has done a great deal from day one.
Yeah, okay. That was, by the way, the bleep was not added by us. That was the Fox News iteration of that clip. But they bleeped it out. But he does say we're done with that shit. There's a lot of great clips of that going around. Yeah, thank you very much, Justin. Thank you. I just want to make sure people could hear that in all of its glory. So yeah, no, the woke era is over in the United States military. And I just want you to think about the audience that he's talking to. He's talking to an audience of people who came up through the ranks in a world where some of them, not all, but some of them were promoted on the basis of categories that have nothing to do with excellence, lethality, and mission. And some of them were promoted to the highest ranks of our military on the basis of the politics of the moment, often guided by the left-wing politics of the Biden administration and maybe earlier in their career by the Obama administration. There's just been a lot of left-wing, social justice style, non-military related momentum within the increasingly political upper ranks of our military. So you're going to have people who are in that auditorium this morning who are shifting around uncomfortably, who are a little nervous by what the Secretary of War is saying. And I really hope somebody was observing the room. You know what I mean? Like staring around, maybe getting like a drone hovering in the room, identifying whether or not heart rates were going up as the Secretary of War was speaking. And looking around to see who is nodding, who's enthusiastic for this, who's ready to make our military into killers again, to well-trained, well-disciplined, ready-to-kill fighting machines. That's what we want out of the American military. That's what people who join the military want to be a part of. And Secretary of War Pete Hegseth is trying to get it back. And in fact, he kind of acknowledges the room that he's talking about. He said today that like one of the priorities is they want to get everybody back into fighting shape, and they want everybody in the military to be able to pass a physical fitness test, from the lowest ranking privates all the way to the highest ranking generals and admirals. Your obligation is to be in shape, physically fit. And yes, he used the word fat to describe the problem. Here's Pete Hegseth today talking about what needs to change in the military to get everybody back in fighting shape.
With physical fitness and appearance. If the Secretary of War can do regular, hard PT, so can every member of our joint force. Frankly, it's tiring to look out at combat formations, or really any formation, and see fat troops. Likewise, it's completely unacceptable to see fat generals and admirals in the halls of the Pentagon and leading commands around the country and the world. It's a bad look. It is bad, and it's not who we are. So whether you're an airborne ranger or a chairborne ranger, a brand new private or a 4-star general, you need to meet the height and weight standards and pass your PT test. And as the chairman said, yes, there is no PT test. But today, at my direction, every member of the joint force at every rank is required to take a PT test twice a year, as well as meet height and weight requirements twice a year, every year of service. Also today, at my direction, every warrior across our joint force is required to do PT every duty day. Should be common sense. I mean, most units do that already.
Every single day. All of you are going to be required to meet physical fitness standards. Every single one. And he's looking, again, at a room of senior officers, telling them that you, too, will be held to the very standards that we're setting for the entire military here. So an encouraging message as Pete Hegseth is trying to get away from all of the non-lethality, non-mission-oriented garbage that has afflicted the military, saying that it's just been a constant problem. And he said, look, one of the reasons why he cares so much about this, and one of the standards that he's setting up here is you should want your unit to be the kind of place that your son could serve in and that you would feel proud that your son and comfortable that your son is serving in that unit. That's the kind of place you should build. And what does that mean? Well, listen to Pete Hegseth describe it. It means that you shouldn't have all these things that imperil our troops. You should have them prepared to the highest quality. Listen.
I don't want my son serving alongside troops who are out of shape, or in combat unit with females who can't meet the same combat arms physical standards as men, or troops who are not fully proficient on their assigned weapons, platform, or task, or under a leader who was the first but not the best. Standards must be uniform, gender neutral, and high. I don't want my
that's
son.
it. All right, so uniform, gender neutral, high. And when he says gender neutral, he's not using it the way the left uses it. He said that the standard must be to the highest male standard. That's the standard he's looking for. And in other words, if a female can meet that threshold of the highest male standard, she's okay. She's good to go. She's not being excluded. This is consistent with the testimony, by the way, he gave during his confirmation hearing. No, I'm not removing women from the military. I am saying that if they want to participate in these combat roles, especially, they've got to meet the highest male standard. You've got to be able to carry body weight off of a battlefield. You've got to be able to contribute. You shouldn't, in a moment of crisis, represent a detriment to the troops around you when it really matters. So Pete Hegseth just saying a bunch of really common sense things before the leaders of our military today, and saying, we're done with the DEI stuff. We're done with the identity months. No more dudes in dresses. By the way, on this point about women, here's Secretary Hegseth today saying, look, if women do meet the standards, they're good to go. Listen to him.
This, and I want to be very clear about this, this is not about preventing women from serving. We very much value the impact of female troops. Our female officers and NCOs are the absolute best in the world. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to any job that requires physical power to perform in combat, those physical standards must be high and gender neutral. If women can make it, excellent. If not, it is what it is. If that means no women qualify for some combat jobs, so be it. That is not the intent, but it could be the result. So be it. It will also mean that weak men won't qualify because we're not playing games.
Right.
This is combat. This is life or death. As we all know, this is you versus an enemy hell-bent on killing you. To be an effective, lethal fighting force, you must trust that the warrior alongside you in battle is capable, truly physically capable of doing what is necessary under fire. You know this is the only standard you would want for your kids and for your grandkids. Apply the War Department Golden Rule, the 1990 test, and the E6 test, and it's really hard to go wrong.
Who can disagree with this? Who would even begin to disagree with this? I know members of the military, female members of the military, who are I guarantee you, enthusiastically nodding along to this speech today, agreeing. And yes, there are women who are studs, complete studs. I've encountered a bunch of them. I've told you before, you probably know my dad's a now retired Marine Major General, and throughout his career, he's known a lot of female officers, especially female enlisted, just total studs, people who are really talented. They do meet the highest standards of our military, and just amazing. So can it be done? Oh, yes, it can. But will it mean that fewer women are serving in these roles? Oh, yeah, guaranteed. Guaranteed. If you're not grading people on a curve, if you're just maintaining a very high standard, then you're going to have a situation where only the best are in the job. You heard Hegseth say that, no, it's not about the first. I don't care if you're the first person with, some weird hair color who's done this job. That has nothing to do with anything, actually. I care if you're the best, especially for the leaders. We care if you're the best. And so I do hope that he rattled some cages today in that room. My understanding is that President Trump was asked this morning, I haven't seen this, producer Jim told me about it, about whether or not he'd be firing any more generals. And he said, yeah, I think I will. I think I'll be firing some more generals. And how are you going to do it? Oh, this is great. I've got it right here. Here, check this out. So here's President Trump ahead, I think, of his visit this morning to Quantico to go to address these general officers. And here's what he said about whether or not he'd be firing any of them. Listen to this.
This time. So I'm going over, I'm going to be meeting with generals and with admirals and with leaders. And if I don't like somebody, I'm going to fire him right on the spot.
I'm going to go meet these generals and these admirals. And if I don't like them, I'm going to fire them right on the spot. And then he just turns away and he just walks to Marine One. I don't know if I could love this any more than I already do. I'm not sure how that's even possible. Oh, man. This is great. This is wonderful stuff. And here's what I'm hoping, too, is like, that audience, this audience of general officers and these flag officers, as they're sitting there listening to this, I'm hoping that you've got guys who are enthusiastic about this. I don't want to see everybody fired. I hope there's some leaders in that room who are absolutely over the moon about this. Oh, thank God. This is what we needed. We need to get back to that. Yes, please. And you know what's going on in there. As much as I point out, there's going to be discomfort among the political hacks that are in that room. There's also going to be guys in that room this morning who look down on Pete Hegseth, who don't think much of him, who think they're better than him, who think that he's some wet behind the ears brat just addressing them. How dare he? I can't even believe I have to deal with this, but I'll just sit here. I want to keep my job. We've got to figure out a way to drive those people out of the military. Get rid of them. Who don't respect the fact that we've got civilian leadership here, that who don't respect that we have a Secretary of War who, by the way, is like so much better than Lloyd Austin. It's ridiculous. This is a very encouraging sign. I'm glad this was done. All of the hysteria we saw from the media this past week over, what is this? What is Hegseth doing? How dare he? Look, every one of these general officers, if they did an all-call for everybody who worked for them, they'd expect every single ass to be in every single seat in that auditorium for them, every one of them. So the idea that any one of them would be whining about the Secretary of War calling this meeting today, it's just ridiculous. It's totally preposterous. This is the chain of command. This is the Secretary of War working for that President of the United States, and these men want to make the military a lot better. And it's great to see. It's really great to see. All right, coming up, we've got other big meetings going on. We've got the President of the United States. He had two huge meetings yesterday. He meets with Benjamin Netanyahu. They're trying to work out a peace deal in Gaza. The big point there is is Hamas going to agree to it? No telling what the terror group will do. So we'll keep an eye on that. But also the other big meeting he had yesterday was with Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. Those clowns. They showed up to the White House yesterday, and the whole point was, hey, can we keep the government open for 7 more weeks? This is the stakes. I don't know if anybody's telling you this. It's just 7 weeks we're talking about. It's just a continuing resolution. Can the Senate just say, yes, we'll keep funding the government for the next 7 weeks? Republicans are ready to do it. Democrats, not so much. I'll take you into what happened yesterday and how the president's making a mockery of stupid Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. It's all ahead on this edition of Vince. Hey, when inflation jumps up, thanks to idiots like Jeffries and Schumer, when you hear the national debt is over $37 trillion, which it is, you ever think to yourself, hey, maybe now would be a good time to buy some gold? Whether as a hedge against inflation or just sensible diversification, Birch Gold Group believes that every American should own physical gold, and they want to make it easy for you. Until September 30th, if you're a first-time gold buyer, Birch Gold is offering a rebate of up to $10,000 in free metals on qualifying purchases. To claim eligibility and to start the process, request your information kit now. Just text VINCE to 989898. Plus, Birch Gold can help you roll an existing IRA or a 401k into an IRA in gold, and you're still eligible for a rebate in free metals of up to $10,000. So, make right now your first time to buy gold. Take advantage of a rebate up to $10,000 when you buy by September 30th. Text my name, Vince, really simple, to 989898. That's Vince to 989898. Claim your eligibility today. Message and data rates apply. Thank you to Birch Gold for sponsoring the program. Yes, Schmucky Chuck Schumer. He's it's these guys are clowns. So they showed up to the White House yesterday to negotiate whether or not the government's going to continue to stay open. And I think I've laid out the stakes for you, but just to remind you, the funding as we're doing this program, depending on when you're listening to it, but today's September 30th, and by midnight tonight, going into October, the government, if they don't pass this funding bill, then operations will tighten up. They'll close up. And that's not actually a terrible thing. That the government could use a good shutdown, I think. And I think Russ Vought at the Office of Management and Budget at the White House is practically salivating at the chances that might happen. Because if it does, his plan is to lay off a bunch of unnecessary federal workers, and not all of them will get their jobs back. That's what the White House is saying right now. Yeah, we're going to lay people off. Not furlough, lay off, get rid of these federal workers. And what's going to happen is some of them we will welcome back, but not everybody's going to get invited back. And that would be good news for the American taxpayer because we have a federal government that needs to shrink dramatically. The president's already been working on it, and the White House is seeing this as an opportunity. This would be the silver lining of a shutdown, that we could fire a bunch of people. So there is that. But right now, Republicans want to keep the government open. They're saying, hey, 7 weeks, we'll extend the government for 7 weeks. We still have to negotiate the funding package, so we'll just do a 7-week extension. House Republicans have already passed this thing. Senate Republicans stand ready to pass it. President Trump stands ready to sign it. It's what they call a, quote, clean CR. And one of the nice things about it is it maintains all of the president's spending cuts. Remember all those cuts the president made? In the form of impoundment. That is, he was like, I'm not spending money on that crap. USAID? No, we're not doing that. That's insane. He cuts that. Rescissions, we've talked about a lot on this program. The rescissions package that he passed, that stays. The pocket rescissions he just filed a couple weeks ago, those stay. So the good news is all of these cuts that the president has made are locked in. They continue to be in place for the next 7 weeks. And this is what's driving the Democrats crazy. They want that crazy spending back. Let me go to cut 3 first. Here's Congressman Tim Burchett talking about what Democrats really want in this stupid fight that they're waging against the American people. Watch this.
Congressman Tim Burchett, everybody's asking about what's going on with the Hakeem Jeffries and Schumer shutdown. As you know, we passed, the Republicans in the House and one Democrat passed a bill to keep the government open. And it was what's called a clean CR. We don't like them. We need to pass a real budget, but it's better than what the Democrats had. And what do the Democrats want to do? They want a huge $1.5 trillion spending hike of your tax dollars that we're probably having to borrow anyway. Reinstatement of free health care for illegals. We know there's funding for transgender surgeries, both here and out of the country. $500 million to prop up liberal news outlets. Why in the world are we propping up these liberal news outlets? Cuts a historic $50 billion.
Am I the only one who lost audio? Justin, talk to me. What the hell's going on? Justin. I can't even hear Justin.
Huge $1.5 trillion spending hike of your tax dollars that we're probably having to borrow anyway. Reinstatement of free health care for illegals. We know there's funding for transgender surgeries, both here and out of the country. $500 million to prop up liberal news outlets. Why in the world are we propping up these liberal news outlets? Cuts a historic $50 billion.
What a dumpster fire. Oh, that's funny. All right. Anyway, that's a great summary from Tim Burchett, who's pointing out that, hey, look, the Dems want to spend money on transgender horseshit. They just want to spend money on NPR and PBS. They want to give illegal aliens health care. And the rest of us are saying, hell no, we don't want any of that garbage. What are you, nuts? No, we're not doing that. That's not happening. So yesterday, these idiots have their meeting, and Schumer and Jeffries, they left the Oval Office yesterday, and I'll give you like the shortest little version of Chuck Schumer's take on all of this garbage. Here's what Chuck Schumer had to say yesterday. Take a look at this as they step outside the Oval.
We have very large differences on health care and on their ability to undo whatever budget we agree to through rescissions and through impoundment, as well as pocket rescissions.
All right, so that's the take from Chuck Schumer. He's like, we're very far apart on health care. That's because they want to fund illegals. I'm telling you, this is the stuff they don't say. It's always in the silence that you find out what they're really trying to conceal from you. They want to fund illegals, and they're mad about, you heard him say it, impoundment, rescissions, and pocket rescissions. They're mad about the president cutting spending on garbage. Now, remember, Democrats don't control any aspect of this. They don't control the House. They don't control the Senate. What they do control at the moment is they're blocking anything being done in the Senate because of the supermajority required to get this through. We need 60 votes. Democrats refuse to give it. That's where we are right now. The vice president of the United States stepped out yesterday after Dumb and Dumber did their press conference. And here is Vice President Vance ripping these Democrats for blowing their opportunity yesterday to keep this government open. Watch. Cut one.
Look at what Chuck Schumer has said in the past consistently. It's whatever our disagreements are, let's negotiate with them. Let's talk about them. Let's figure out a bipartisan solution. But you don't shut the government down. In other words, you don't put a gun to the American people's head and say, unless you do exactly what Senate and House Democrats want you to do, we're going to shut down your government. That's exactly what they're proposing out there. Now, we have to remember, they're very frustrated. They say that they're very frustrated about the fact that this negotiation has not taken place until today. But if you look at the original thing they did with this negotiation, it was a $1.5 trillion spending package, basically saying to the American people, we want to give massive amounts of money, hundreds of billions of dollars to illegal aliens for their health care, while Americans are struggling to pay their health care bills. That was their initial foray into this negotiation. We thought it was absurd. We told them it was absurd, and now they come in here saying that if you don't give us everything that we want, we're going to shut down the government. We think that's preposterous. We think it's totally unacceptable, and we think the American people are going to suffer because these guys won't do the right thing.
Yeah, J.D. Vance doing a great job just coming out. This is preposterous. You want to stop the checks to the troops? Then go with the Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer plan right now, which is to make your life more miserable and to not keep those checks coming. So I want to applaud the White House, by the way, because like Republicans, on a routine basis, they get outmaneuvered in these stupid shutdown fights because they don't have the stomach. They don't have the testicular fortitude to actually fight and to say what's actually on the line. That's not a problem with the president and the vice president. They don't have that problem, that particular affliction. They're just coming out very forcefully and saying, yep, these guys are to blame. We're just trying to keep this thing moving. And if it all collapses, it's Democrats who own this. It is the Schumer shutdown. And by the way, you know, for federal government employees, for those people, especially those Democrats who are federal government employees, if you're getting a little rattled about the fact that you might be laid off, call your senator. Tell him, keep the government open. You want to keep that job? Keep the government open. Go ahead. Place pressure on your fellow Democrat. Now's your chance. The window's closing. The president reacted to this yesterday hilariously. I'm at home last night, and I get a notification on Truth Social, as I always do, that President Trump has posted something. So I was like, what has he posted? What is it? Here's the president tweeting a video of Schumer and Jeffries looking absolutely ridiculous. Cut to. Take a look.
Look, guys, there's no way to sugarcoat it. Nobody likes Democrats anymore. We have no voters left because of all of our woke trans bullshit. Not even black people want to vote for us anymore. Even Latinos hate us. So we need new voters. And if we give all these illegal aliens free health care, we might be able to get them on our side so they can vote for us.
Until they learn English and then realize they hate us too. And for those of you not watching the video podcast, somebody placed a sombrero and an oversized curled mustache onto Hakeem Jeffries, like some ham-fisted attempt to appeal to Latino voters. It's really funny. This is so funny. We really have the greatest president. I'm telling you, relish these moments. Marinate in them, please. because we're never going to get them again. Even if we get another great president, and I have a lot of hope in a guy like J.D. Vance to be a great president, you're never going to get that again. You're never. Not the quality. It's not going to happen again. So just remember these moments, because you're going to look back on them fondly someday. You're going to be like, remember that? How awesome that was? Yeah, it is. It's totally awesome. I want to thank our sponsors, and then we're going to get to our awesome guest joining us in just a moment, Nick Minnock. You're not going to want to miss this. Huge story about what's going on in Northern Virginia and its implications for the rest of the country. But first, I want to thank our great sponsor, Blackout Coffee, proudly the official coffee of all of us here at Silverlock. And there's a reason for this. You know, it's bold, unapologetic, America First coffee, roasted fresh right here in the United States. It's not grocery store junk. Blackout Coffee delivers rich, high-quality roasts that actually taste like freedom. And now you can set it and you forget it with auto refill and recurring delivery. This means no more running out, no more watered-down backups, just your favorite roast delivered fresh on your schedule. Pick your favorite roast and how often you want it delivered. And not only do you get a discount, but you also get double the rewards and free shipping right to your doorstep. Right now, I'm like at home. I always, every so often, I'm like, I gotta go back. I want to taste all the flavors, because normally I do the pitch black espresso roast as my standard go-to. Right now, I'm filtering in the Brutal Awakening. There's a lot of really good options. You should try them all. Find out what you like. And then once you do, lock in that delivery. It's really good. Here's what you should do. Go to blackoutcoffee.com/Vince. Use the code Vince. That's VINCE. Get 20% off your first order. Whether you're into bold, dark roasts, flavored coffee, or even instant, Blackout has got your back. Real coffee, no compromise. Blackoutcoffee.com/Vince. Get yours now. Thank you to Blackout, great sponsor of this program. Thank you also to Brickhouse Nutrition. They're always there for us as well, and for good reason. We love Brickhouse. Doctors call weight cycling a really risky thing for you to do. Half of Americans do this. If you do it enough, you're at risk of diabetes, liver damage, heart attack, stroke. Weight cycling, that's when you lose 10 or more pounds and then gain it back. This can all lead to serious health issues for you. And the bottom line is most people need help to stop that cycle. And here's a great way to do that. Non-prescription Lean by Brickhouse Nutrition. Lean is created by doctors. It's an oral supplement. It's not a GLP-1 injectable. Lean's studied ingredients target weight loss in 3 powerful ways. Lean helps maintain healthy blood sugar. It helps you control appetite and cravings, and it helps you burn fat by converting it into energy. So if you're tired of losing weight and then gaining it back, add Lean by Brickhouse Nutrition to your diet and exercise lifestyle. Get 20% off when you enter Vince at TakeLean.com. That's code Vince at TakeLean.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease, and it's not a substitute or alternative for care from a healthcare provider. Yes, indeed. All right, joining us now is a reporter for WJLA. That's an ABC affiliate in the Washington, D.C. and Virginia area. Nick Minnock, great reporter. I've been following him for years, and I'm very grateful that he's joining us today. Nick, good to have you on the program today, sir.
Hey, it's good to see you, Vince.
Okay, so one of the reasons I want to talk to you is there's a sex offender that you have done so much work covering by the name of Richard Cox. You're Nick Minnock. We're talking about Richard Cox. Take a look at this. I want to put this on screen, fellas, if you can put up my monitor right now. This is the sex offender that probably people have seen in national on their social media accounts. Justin, if we could put that up. Here's his photo. And this guy, he was busted years ago for being a sex offender. He's a convicted Tier 3 sex offender. But the big story that Nick keeps breaking here is he keeps showing up in women's locker rooms all over Northern Virginia. Nick, tell us the story of this guy. Who is he?
Sure. So Richard Cox, that's his name, Richard Kenneth Cox. He has a lengthy criminal history. He's on the registry as a sex offender, a Tier 3 sex offender, the most serious kind, which means he has to re-register every few months as a sex offender. He was originally busted in the early 90s for allegedly touching himself in front of children under the age of 14 years old at an Arlington gymnasium. He was in prison for a number of years. When he got out, he was then again busted for child abuse material. And that's what put him on the sex offender registry. Fast forward a little bit, we start getting calls from victims, women, early this year in January, saying they saw a biological male in their locker room. And that's what started our investigation. So I started calling around to police sources, and I learned that he was arrested in Arlington in December of last year for going to Arlington Barcroft Sports and Fitness Center. So this is a county-run rec center. He told staff there that he was a woman and that he was entitled to use the women's locker room. They allowed him to go into the women's locker room, where then he allegedly exposed himself to women and girls in that locker room. He was arrested. And then police in Arlington found that he had also visited 2 high schools in Arlington, Washington Liberty High School and Wakefield High School, which both have pools open to the public outside of school hours, where he did the same thing, said he was a woman. They allowed him in the women's locker room. He disrobed and spent a lot of time in those locker rooms, allegedly exposing himself to women and girls. And so fast forward today, we're learning new details in court. He had a preliminary hearing last week. And then some of the things you hear from these witnesses who saw what's going on would just make your jaw drop. For instance, there was a woman who said she had her 5-year-old daughter with her right after swim class, went into the women's locker room, and Richard Cox was in a shower stall. He had a curtain open, this witness said. And if you put the graphic detail, I posted them on X, but I'll just say he was touching himself, according to this witness, as this 5-year-old saw it all happen. And that's not the only witness who saw it. A number of other witnesses testified he did this too. And what's interesting about this, Vince, too, is so he is being held accountable. He's being prosecuted, charged in Arlington County for doing this, but not in Fairfax County, which is in neighboring county, where he went to 3 rec centers, told them he was a woman. They allowed him inside the women's locker room. He exposed himself there, according to witnesses, and he's facing no charges in Fairfax County. And Virginia Attorney General Jason Miyares brought that up in his press conference last Friday when he slammed the prosecutor in Fairfax County for doing nothing about it.
I'm sorry. So if he had done this, to be clear, if he was doing the same behavior in the men's locker room towards little boys, that would be the basis of a criminal offense. But he's doing this as an adult male inside of the women's locker room, and the county's not doing anything about it?
Right. He was in the men's locker room, exposing himself to, let's say, boys or even men. He's not supposed to be there in Fairfax County as a time of his probation. He's a registered Tier 3 sex offender. He cannot be within 100 feet, a great law, of a day program for children. And these rec centers, they're very popular in Fairfax County. A lot of kids go there. They have swim classes there.
Yes.
Parents drop their kids off there to have fun. The local school system uses them. They have day programs for children. And we learned in court last week that Richard Cox, according to detective, they found children's swim class schedules on his phone at these Fairfax County rec centers, which the prosecutor says proves motive on why he was going there in the first place. Miyares says that this man was hunting little girls in Fairfax County, and leaders are doing nothing about it there.
Okay. So tell me about these leaders in Northern Virginia. These are Democrat officials, by and large, and in some cases, Soros-funded prosecutors from their campaigns. And it appears, as with each chapter in this guy's saga, that they've let him go. How frequently have they had an opportunity to prevent any more of this from happening?
Had Fairfax County Commonwealth's Attorney Steve Descano, so what we call our local DA in Virginia, Commonwealth's Attorney, he had many opportunities to hold this man accountable, even before his rec center visits in Fairfax County. In fact, he visited Planet Fitnesses for months, according to people who saw him in Fairfax County. A woman filed an indecent exposure charge against him because she saw him fully naked in the women's locker room at a Planet Fitness in Fairfax County. She went to a magistrate, filed out the charge, but when the court date came, Toscano's office didn't help the victim, at all. They did not, so she could not be there on the original court date. You know, she's going to be out of town. She told the court, she asked for a continuance. And in most cases, a prosecutor would stand there and say, look, the complainant, the plaintiff, she's out of town. We request a continuance, and a judge would grant that continuance. So then there would be a court hearing a different day. But since the prosecutor decided not to show up and represent this victim, when Cox asked for the charge to be dismissed, the judge threw his arms up and dismissed it because no one was there to advocate for the victim. So had Steve Descano prosecuted Cox on that charge, he would have also learned that Mr. Cox visited a Planet Fitness that was right next door to a day program for children, a Jolly Ollie indoor playground for kids, right next door to another Planet Fitness in Fairfax County. And he's not allowed anywhere near that either.
Yeah.
So had Mr. Descano held Cox accountable for those original offenses back in May and June of last year, he then would not have been able to go on to Fairfax County Rec Centers in August and September and October, and then go to Arlington in November and December.
So yeah, and so people know Steve Descano is one of those Soros-backed prosecutors. So this particular guy, have you found, Nick, that that Steve Descano is this lenient towards all sex offenders or only people who call themselves transgender?
Sure. So I've done stories at WJLA on prosecutors and Steve Descano's own sex crime unit, people who are supposed to prosecute sex crimes, that they have felt that their boss has been too lenient on criminals and sex crimes. And so this goes for a number of cases. But you really got to wonder why Mr. Descano's office isn't prosecuting Mr. Cox now, because they did prosecute him for failing to register as a sex offender years earlier when he did identify as a woman. So what changed?
Yeah. Okay. Tell me about the implications for the governor's race that's going on right now in Virginia. So on one side, you've got the Lieutenant Governor, Winsome Sears, who is running as the Republican candidate. This is coming up here in November. And then on the other side, you have Democrat Abigail Spanberger. What have each of them said about this case?
Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl Sears, she has put Richard Cox in her TV ads. So if you're in Virginia, you will see Richard Cox on TV in political ads. Earl Sears says Spanberger has voted to allow people like Mr. Cox to share women's locker rooms and bathrooms. So it's become a big point in this race for governor. This example of Richard Cox going into women's locker rooms. I have asked Abigail Spanberger a number of times on where she stands on this. In fact, she was in Fairfax County a couple of weeks ago, and I asked her, does she support allowing biological males who say they're women using women's bathrooms and locker rooms? And she gave us what some would call a word salad. She did not directly answer the question. And then after that, I decided to continue to ask her, and she had her staff, block me from asking questions. So Ms. Spanberger hasn't really answered the question on this one.
Let me. I want to show people this video. Let's take a look here. This is Nick Minnock, who is our guest, asking Abigail Spanberger about her position on this guy, Richard Cox, this sex offender constantly going into locker rooms in Northern Virginia. Look at this.
For months, 7 News has been trying to get Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger to clearly answer where does she stand on the locker room and bathroom issue that has divided so many school communities in Northern Virginia. This afternoon in Fairfax County, during her media availability, I tried asking Spanberger questions on where she stands, but her response did not directly answer our question. So we tried again on her way out. Can you tell us directly, do you support biological males who say they're women using women's locker rooms and bathrooms and competing in women's sports?
Well, the circumstance as this legal case plays out is really one of, we've had court cases settled or judged here in Virginia in the 4th District, the former Gavin Grimm case related to bathroom usage. And in fact, the argument is, the assessment is, there needs to be much clearer guidance in terms of what is an executive order's binding assessment of Title IX versus what has been a decision of a court.
But do you personally support these policies? Do you personally support them? Do you support these locker room or bathroom policies, Congresswoman? Why can't you answer this question directly?
Unreal. Unreal.
Congresswoman, do you support these bathroom and locker room policies?
Space, Nick. Thank you,
Why
Nick.
can't you answer these
Appreciate
questions
it, Nick.
directly? And that's the response we got. In Fairfax County, Nick Minock, 7 News.
Unreal. I mean, it's just, I'm listening to this, and she doesn't want to answer your question for a million different reasons, but most of all, because of the political peril she would be in with her own party if she honestly said, no, men should not be in the women's bathrooms. And so I think you described it well. That was word salad. I have no idea what she was even attempting to say there. I don't know what her position is. And by concealing it, she's telling us outright that she is comfortable with men going into women's restrooms. No?
Yeah. And you touched on a point here that her own party would be upset if she opposed these policies. I mean, right now, the Trump administration is trying to get 5 Northern Virginia school systems, including Fairfax County, to get rid of their policies that allow biological males within girls' locker rooms and bathrooms at school.
Yeah.
And I've chatted with a number of Democratic to support these policies, and they want to Abigail Spanberger to support them and defend the 5 school systems against the Trump administration. So that is where she's at right now, where you've got a lot of people in Virginia who oppose these policies, but there's a lot of Democrats in her party.
Yeah.
Many of them support them. So that's where she's at right now. So maybe that's why she wouldn't give us a direct answer, because if she, said that she supports them, it would probably alienate a lot of voters who oppose them. But if she said she opposed them, she would see uproar in the Democratic ranks, according to sources that I've been speaking to.
Yep, and this is all about that election, of course. And I know you're just a straight down the middle reporter. You've done such great work through the years, and we're also grateful for that. For those of you, especially living in the Northern Virginia, D.C. area. But I will say, on a personal level, that she should suffer electoral defeat for that position. It's outrageous, and it really telegraphs what she intends to do should she become governor of the Commonwealth. God forbid that actually happens. Nick Minock, please continue the great work at WJLA. Thank you, as always, for your efforts. Appreciate you today, sir.
Thank you, Vince.
All right, there he is, Nick Minock. He is a great reporter. Give him a follow, Nick Minock on X, and you'll be able to see what he's up to. But the important piece here is you may have seen that guy, that crazy sex offender dude, Richard Cox, before, either on social media or in some national media. But the point is, it has big national implications insofar as this is what it looks like when Democrats run the justice system. This is what it looks like when Democrats are the prosecutors, when George Soros gets to decide who gets prosecuted and who doesn't. Northern Virginia, and as specifically, under Soros-backed prosecutors, has become a safe haven, not for children, not for families, but for sex offenders. For a guy who tracks the schedules. He tracks the gymnastics and swim class schedules of little children so he can go and camp out inside of their locker rooms and then pleasure himself in front of them. And then the system doesn't stop that guy. And then makes excuses for him. And then plays along with this idea that he's a woman and therefore he's the victim in this saga. It's absolutely disgraceful. And it's a wonder, by the way, that no father has gotten a hold of that dude in the wake of that action and beaten his face in. Because that's precisely what that man deserves. Now, he's in the hands of the justice system right now. As far as the voters are concerned, they should get rid of these idiots, these cruel people who run this system. And that includes this election coming up in November in Virginia. Now, I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. And just as a reminder to my team here, I want Winsome Sears on the program. I know they've been trying. Producer Andy's been knocking on our door. But we got to have her on. You know, you have an open invitation, Lieutenant Governor. Winsome Sears is a United States Marine. She's a patriot, and I'd be grateful to have her on here. And not just grateful. The whole point is I want more people to know about her and to support her campaign. I want to see her get across the finish line. I want her to defeat Abigail Spanberger. You understand what's happening in Virginia. We'll get to New Jersey, too, but what's happening in Virginia in this big governor's race is on one side you have sanity, you have decency in the form of Winsome Sears, and on the other side you have Abigail Spanberger, who's looking to make it so that Virginia is a sanctuary state. She's looking to come after gun owners. I was just talking to somebody recently about gun restrictions that Abigail Spanberger will put in place immediately in the Commonwealth as quickly as they possibly can. Danger is ahead if Democrats are in charge of anything else. It is. And then to see this attitude of, yeah, it's fine if kids get abused because we'll just let the men inside of the little girls' locker rooms when they're going to swim class or when they're going to gymnastics. This can't happen. I'm praying to God that voters wake up. And if you're in Virginia, please, I beg of you, not only get to the polls, but bring 50 people with you. Turn it into an event. Make it a party if you need to. Whatever it takes, get people out to vote and lay out the stakes for them. Maybe they don't know the stakes. Send them this episode. Send them this show so they understand what's on the line here. But these are the fights that we have to have right now before it's too late. And Winsome Sears has some catch-up to do. If you believe the polls at all, we're talking about a double-digit situation at the moment. That's not good. She's got to play catch-up, and it's got to happen fast. So we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, somebody asked, is it bad enough yet? It is for me, Virginia McGroin. Thank you, Virginia. It is for me. Work, Virginia. Meanwhile, New Jersey's got a better situation right now. Jack Ciattarelli is doing good against Mikey Sherrill. Is it Mikey or Mickey? I keep saying Mikey. Anyway, it doesn't matter to me. Other than just I'll try and pronounce it correctly if I can. But the point is this Mikey Sherrill, who is a disaster, who's lied about her record, who is a Democrat in every sense of the word. Jack Ciattarelli came so close last time he ran, and I don't think this time he's looking very, very good. There's an energy right now in New Jersey. God bless you in New Jersey if you're supporting Jack Ciattarelli and helping him here. There's an energy in New Jersey that could deliver meaningful victory here and get a Republican into the governor's mansion. That's a big deal. Let's get there with Jack Ciattarelli. Again, same deal as in Virginia. Not only should you get out to vote, you got to get everybody you know out to do it too. You have to. Drag people to the polls. The days of Republicans just sitting on their asses and just hoping that it's going to work out, that has to be over. We saw what happened in 2024. President Trump went out and what did he say about the election? Too big to rig. What did he say about early voting? Do it. Get out. Take advantage of it. Lock in your vote. The early voting thing especially. The reason that this matters right now is like, look, if the Democrats are going to set these rules up because they think they're going to benefit them, let's take advantage of the system that they set up that they thought was going to help. And we'll exploit that system. We'll jump into it. The other piece is take your vote off of the registry. That way nobody else can take it. So the earlier you seize your own vote, the less likely it is that somebody else can come in and fraudulently claim to be you. Rack up those numbers. And then finally, of course, the big thing about the early voting is, people say they're going to, I'll do it on Election Day. And then you never know. Your tires blow out the morning of Election Day. Your kid's got some sort of thing they got to be at. All of a sudden, you've got something getting in the way of you going to the polls. This happens. It happens all the time. People say, not me. That what happened to me? We'll see. You never know what you don't know. So just lock it in while you get a chance. Just do it. We got big elections right now. Virginia, New Jersey. Get it done. Too big to rig. Get some Republicans across the finish line. It's really big. And set us up nicely next year for the midterms, okay? That's all I want. Swamp the vote, says Patriot Lieutenant Dan. Thank you, Patriot Lieutenant Dan. Swamp the damn vote. This is a test of the emergency voting system. Let's get it done right now. Hey, let me end with some encouraging news for you. I got a lot. Encouraging news, by the way, will be if these Republicans win in these big races. But a couple of other things I want to hit real fast for you. You know that the Trump administration is trying like hell to get illegal aliens out of our country. And there's Democrat states, speaking of Democrat-run states, who are doing everything they can to stop it. But President Trump's got some support from the Republican states. And we just got an announcement yesterday from Oklahoma Governor Stitt. They're running something called Operation Guardian. And during Operation Guardian, they picked up, this is just a short operation that they did along I-40 in western Oklahoma. They picked up more than 125 illegal aliens, 125 of them from places like India, Uzbekistan, China, Russia, Georgia, Turkey, Tajikistan, Ukraine, Mauritania. Mauritania. You know they still have chattel slavery in Mauritania? Did you know that? It's crazy. So Governor Kevin Stitt announced yesterday they're picking up people like crazy in Oklahoma, helping the feds out. And in the process, check this out. They said that New York State has been handing out commercial driver's licenses to illegal aliens, and instead of putting a name on the thing, they just write, no name given. Have you seen this? Look at this. If you're watching on rumble.com/Vince right now, look at this New York State commercial driver's license. It says, no name given. Chat, look at, first of all, there you go. So that's the garbage that's dropped onto this ID by New York State, this Democrat-run state. And look up here. What is that little star in the corner? What does that star in the corner mean? Anybody? Anybody in the chat know what this star is supposed to mean if it's on your ID? What does that mean? I'm waiting for the chat to tell me. There's a tiny lag time between when I say it, when chat can respond to me. Look at this little star. What does that mean on the top right corner of a driver's license? There you go, Anita. Anita McGroin gets it first. Real ID. It's a real ID. It's the ID that you and I have to have now. The whole government says, we got to have real ID. And one of the upsides to real ID, if there is an upside, is that we can try and stop illegal aliens from, exploiting national benefits of any kind. Oh, real ID. We know this is an American citizen. This is a legit person. New York State is giving out real IDs with the name no name given for commercial drivers. And Oklahoma just picked this dude up. Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt says if New York wants to hand out CDLs to illegal aliens with no name given, that's on them. The moment they cross into Oklahoma, they answer to our laws, he says. The Oklahoma Highway Patrol performed an enforcement action along I-40. We apprehended 125 illegal aliens. This is keeping Oklahomans safe. He's not alone. Other states are getting busy with these operations. It's not just Oklahoma. In fact, it's happening all over the place. In Texas, they just did Operation Pickoff. They keep doing this Operation Pickoff. In Laredo, they just picked up 28 illegal aliens over a 2-day operation. That's good. That's wonderful. I'm just glad they're doing it. They're coordinating with the feds to do this. That followed another version of Operation Pickoff that took place in the Rio Grande Valley. They picked up about 80 criminal illegal aliens during that operation. And then Florida just did Operation One-Way Ticket, and they picked up how many did they pick up here? 350 illegal aliens. Take a look here. Cut 4. Here's Florida's Operation One-Way Ticket. Watch this.
Handcuffed and shackled, News 6 was at the Brevard County Sheriff's Office K-9 training facility when dozens of people were brought in for processing after being arrested in a week-long immigration enforcement operation dubbed Operation One-Way Ticket.
And this operation sends a clear and uncompromising message. Florida will not tolerate lawlessness within our borders.
Over the span of 4 days, more than
350 illegal aliens picked up in that operation in Florida, Operation One-Way Ticket. God bless the men and women of law enforcement. God bless the Republican states that are cooperating with the feds to take all of these people into custody, saying, hey, look, you want to come into our country, you got to do it the right way. If you're here the wrong way, well, we're sending you home. And it's nice to see that out there. So I figured I'd end today's program on a good note. We got a lot of good stuff going on in our country. Thank you to the Secretary of War for an amazing speech this morning, to the generals and the admirals. I got a big national radio show coming up today. I'll cover some of that. That's 12 to 3 Eastern time. You can find out your local radio listing at thevinceshow.com. You can watch it at rumble.com/Vince. And I'll be back tomorrow on the podcast. Please like and subscribe, would you, to the podcast? Wherever you're seeing or hearing or consuming this in whatever format you get it. Do we have a Braille edition? How do we deliver this? It's in every possible way. However you receive it, please like and subscribe to it. It's how we maintain our unrelenting momentum. Thank you very much. Back with you tomorrow. Up next here on Rumble, Steven Crowder. Stand by for that.